A couple of big picture questions before we get into the line change. Roster moves. First of all, can you sort of capsulize how you viewed the team the day you decided to come here, how you saw it at the start of training camp, and then how you see it now?
Ever evolving. It's going to continue to evolve. I've talked about before, you put names on a whiteboard, they're easy to see on a whiteboard, and you have this fantasy what you think they can all do and who's going to play with who. And you get to training camp and you start putting those things in place, and you understand that some of those pieces on the whiteboard weren't quite what you imagined, or some of them are better than you imagined. So as you come through training camp, you evaluate every guy, you get a sense of what they can do and what they can't do, where they might fit, and the next part of it is where they can go, right? There's some guys here that are still in, I wouldn't call it the evaluation process, but there's guys here that are, I think there's still more than we've seen, and they've got to continue to grow, just like the rest of our team has to continue to grow. So it's been an evolution of our group that's not done yet.
As an extension of that, you looked at the numbers at the start of the, when you took the job, and you saw we've discussed it in here more than once, the goals against, the penalty killing, the face-offs, the save percentage, those sort of things. Mm-hmm. Where do you see in each of those areas this team being right now?
I think we made some steps in camp that to put things in place to help our goals against. I think our penalty killing was very good, very good. And some of that is the personnel we brought in. I like the scheme, but I think the personnel we brought in to penalty kill have a mindset that they're penalty killers. They're not just other guys doing it because there's nobody else here to do it. They're penalty killers. And both goalies have worked hard. We'll see where that goes with the save percentage. I like what both of them have done. They're both ready to play, and they'll both get a chance to play. So hopefully our goals against, a combination of all the three, playing a better defending game, better penalty killing, and better goaltending leads to better goals against. We've had some games that have been pretty good. And we'll get a challenge the first Vancouver game because they've got four legitimate NHL centers, 2 rights and 2 lefts, that it'll be a challenge for us. But it's not just the centerman, it's how you react off the draw, and those are things that we've talked about a lot in camp.
Dave, I know it's only Monday and the game is Wednesday. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, do you see them as 3 centers, or was that because Sheahan wasn't on the end?
Sheahan is going to miss probably 7 to 10 days. He's in concussion protocol, and that we found that out yesterday afternoon. That sparked a little bit of where we were today. I wanted to look at a couple guys and see how they fit today, and tomorrow we'll see where we are.
Dave, you have several Europeans still in the mix, and they were veteran pros in their native lands, but they've come here as rookies to the National Hockey League. So this is a new culture, a new room, a new game. We're featuring Haas and Nyland today. So what's it been like as they try to learn all this? Are they getting better? Are they becoming more and more part of the team and better players along with it?
It's funny. I just finished a meeting with Haas and just talking to him. And he's a 27-year-old guy that's played a lot of big international games. He's been around the game in Europe for a long time. We were laughing. He said, my first game, he said he was just looking, stuff was going by and people are flying around. He goes, I felt like I'd never played before. That was his first game. And if you saw the last game he played in Calgary, it was a good game. He's a smart guy. He's slowly kind of getting it. And it's harder for a centerman. You got to try to figure out everything. Imagine you're coming to a different culture, you're coming to a different style of play, you're coming to different coaching, and you're coming to the best league in the world, right? Those are all hurdles that these guys have to overcome. And Haas has slowly gone through it. And Nygaard is, I think he's been the epitome of getting better every day. you see his speed and tenacity on the puck, and his hands are, I think there's lots of upside in him. So it's a challenge. Young Pearson got hurt a little bit, so he's slowed down a little bit, but these guys are good players, they're smart players, they're not kids anymore, but they're coming, and it's still a challenge for them to get up to speed here.
Dave, just back to the centers, have you looked back at any of the other games where the three of those guys all played on their own lines? Have you taken a look at the history of it, and do you have a sense of, whether...
I've looked at some analytic stuff on it, but haven't watched any tape of it. It's a new year.
After Saturday's game, you said you know who Sam Gagne is, and I kind of read into that you trust what he can do. However, he wasn't here today. He's been waived.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sam's, he's first and foremost a good person. Like he's a smart hockey guy. We're just these players we're talking about here, Nygaard, Yurko, Haas, not so much because Haas is a centerman, have kind of pushed the pace for us, and Sam is caught in a situation where we want to have elite penalty killers at the bottom end of our lineup. We want to have people they have a job to kill penalties and be sound down there. Sam doesn't fit in that. Sam fits more in a top six or a complementary role, and we put some of those younger, quicker legs in those spots. So Sam was in that bubble of players here, and I still think Sam will probably play games for us this year, if he gets through waivers. But right now we think there's a couple of these guys that bring extra pace to our game, and the coupled with between Granlund, Archibald, JJ, and Cave that are penalty killers, that there just wasn't a spot for him here. And Russell has played very well in camp. Patrick Russell's played very well in camp. He needs waivers to go down, and I don't want to risk that chance of losing him right now.
Dave, how would you evaluate Thomas Yurcho? I guess it's pronounced Yurcho. And where does he kind of fit in?
He's had a good camp. He's obviously a talented guy, talented winger. He makes good plays. He gets around the net. He can score, and that's an element that depth of scoring is something that we need here. Where he fits in the lineup exactly, that's still to be determined. But he's a guy that can play with good players and complement good players. Probably the best game he had was in Winnipeg when he played with McDavid and Neal. Had a real solid game, had a beautiful goal, the winning goal, and those are the kind of plays we need. Now, that being said, there's part of his game that's still the details of his game, along the wall, structurally stuff. There's still some knowledge to be gained there and still some evaluation to be had, but I give him credit. He's come in here and worked hard, and he's had a pretty good camp.
Are you willing to tell us who plays goal on Wednesday?
No.
Okay, is there in your mind, did one of the two goaltenders here show you that
I thought they
out as the guy?
I thought they both played well. They both played well enough to give me what I need. I think they're both going to play this year a lot anyway, so it's whichever one starts is the other one shouldn't worry about getting in the net at some point.
One last one. Ready or not, here you come. What do you think of your team?
I like our team. I think we're a very motivated group. I don't think there's a lot of people picking us to do much. I think our group feels that. I like some of the new energy we have in it. The pace of our play, I think, has picked up from last year's group. Our bottom six forwards are, I think, better suited to handle the job that we want them to do in the penalty killing role. I like where we're at. There's lots of growth left, but I don't mind where we're at.
Dave, going back to the goalies, regardless of who starts Wednesday, I'm going to guess the other guy, you probably want to get him in Saturday. Do you have kind of a plan on what you do in that competition? I know you said perfect world, they each play 41 games, but what's the experience of knowing how long to ride a hot guy or not? Do you kind of have a plan on what you want to do?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. I've always had the thoughts that guy gets a shutout, he goes back in, right? So there's one scenario. But you play 3 and 4, and one guy's dead tired after getting a shutout, why would you throw him back in, right? So it's you gotta, it's like anything, it's like players, they play out. How much time a certain player gets, you can't drain them either. So we have the luxury, I think, of two good guys that can play a lot, and we're not going to put anybody in just because he had a good game last game and he might be tired. We're going to read and react. I'll rely on the goaltender coach to tell me how they feel. I feel like we've got a chance of getting quality goaltending every night.